Great Friday to everyone. Today's date is March the 2nd. Cannot believe that I only have about a month left here. Not even a month and a half, but just like a month and a little bit less than a week. So my time is truly drawing down. But as many of you know, I took our spring break, or as they call it here, our reading week, and spent a couple of days in Berlin, Germany. Quick flight, only about an hour and a half. Well, that's what this video is about. And the theme of the video, which is the title, also probably going to be the title when I actually type it in, is "You Don't Look Like What You've Been Through." And granted, this is something that we hear at church all the time. These black churches, I always hear that black churches, you don't look like what you've been through, but God is just so good. Da, 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 da. And that was in my mind during this entire trip. I did go by myself. I went because the honor students who make up the bulk of the people we're staying with do not have their spring break this week. Their spring break is actually next week. And the girls who are in my program over at City University, they already had plans. So I said I just hop on the plane and spend a couple of days over there and do some sightseeing and make it kind of like an educational trip for myself, and that's what I did. So, I guess I'm going to begin with Tuesday. So Tuesday, my flight was to head out of London at about 6:40. So I flew out of Gatwick Airport. Gatwick Airport is a good little ways out of the city. It's not Heathrow, it's not the main airport, but it's the one like not under it, but in size is the next largest one. It's fairly far out, so I had to take a train to get there. It's about a 30-minute train ride. The station we took the train out of Victoria Station. Busy, busy, busy station. I went there to buy the ticket to go to the airport a couple of days before my flight, and it was just bustling, bustling, bustling with people. I got on the first train of the night, which left at 3:30, and the place was empty. I mean, there were probably about 100 people in the entire thing, and when I got there, it was less than that. I took pictures because I can't believe it was that empty, because I know I'll never see it that empty again. It was really cool to see this busy building in this big, huge city almost totally empty. It was peaceful. It was really nice. But anyway, I was really excited about the trip. Kind of nervous about it also, just because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Because going to a foreign country alone, English isn't their first language, so it really could have gone left. But anyway, got to the airport, got on the flight, flew back. Excuse me, I'm confused. Flew to Germany, not flew back. Flew back later, but flew to Germany. Got there, went through customs and all of that. I was confused on how to get the train into the city, but they were able to help me with that. That was the first challenge, and as I said, I don't know German, but thankfully most people there speak a little bit of English to help you. They can help you out and things like that. So I got into the city, checked. Well, actually, let me back up. The train system in Berlin is very much an honor system. You have to buy a ticket and then you validate your ticket with this machine, and you can, in theory, just ride anywhere you feel like without buying a new ticket, or without buying a ticket, period, because there is no machine like in London where you have to scan your ticket and it's a turnstile that gets you into the station. You can just walk in the station, hop on a train. And I'm like, this is weird, because you could theoretically steal a ride. But I didn't do that. Definitely, that's way below my character to do that. But theoretically you could, but they work on an honor system. I'm sure that if you got caught without it and you didn't pay up at the time, it's a harsh punishment. I can only imagine. So anyway, got into the city, checked into the hotel. I'm looking at my list of things I need to talk about. The weather was really, it was raining. It was raining that day. It was cloudy the entire time I was there, which was from like Tuesday to Thursday, but it rained the first day, which I wasn't really feeling, but it was what it was. So I went to, the first place I went was to eat. I was so hungry. So I went to Alexanderplatz. It is a big, huge plaza in the eastern side of the city, and it was in East Germany. So when you go there, everything looks like it came straight out of the Soviet Union. Um, like really blockish buildings, everything's a square or rectangle, and then to add to it, it was cloudy. So it just really looked like Moscow in the 70s and 80s. But plenty of people, bustling area. I ate at the KFC. The KFC does not serve vegetables like they do in the States. You know, in the States you can go and you can get like macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, string beans, coleslaw. The only thing you got there was chicken and fries, but that was okay. After I left there, I went to the Brandenburg Gate, which was along with the Berlin Wall. It bordered East Germany from West Germany. So this big, huge gate, when it was originally built like in the 1700s, 1800s, I think 1700s, it was built as an entrance to the city of Berlin, but as the city expanded, it wasn't the center anymore. So that became a dividing line. So it was nice. It was really nice to see that. Took some pictures there. Went to some souvenir shops in the area. In fact, ironically, so as I said, they speak a little bit of English, some more than others. But went to the souvenir shop and the lady spoke hardly any English, but she could tell I was American from, I guess, my accent. And I was just saying, well, thank you, da 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 da, giving her my money. And she said to me, "You have one of the best African American accents." Of course, it didn't flow like that. It was very broken because her English wasn't that good. But that made me smile a little bit. I don't know what a good black accent sounds like versus a bad one. I guess because I don't sound all hood and like I came out the projects. I don't know. But she said that to me, and I took it as a nice compliment. As a nice compliment. She couldn't say much else other than that in English, so I had to say thank you and bye bye. But I felt good about that. I really did. When I left the Brandenburg Gate, I went to the. Actually, I'm telling it backwards. I'm sorry. Before I went to the Brandenburg Gate, I actually went to the Holocaust Museum, which is in Berlin now. It's ironic because it seems like the one in Washington is bigger than the one in Berlin, although the Holocaust was on this side of the world. But if you look at the pictures, it's a whole bunch. It takes up a whole city block. So if a city block is a total square, it takes up the entire square, and it's just, I forgot exactly what they're called, but they're blocks, like stone blocks that are like 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet and bigger. And I don't know exactly what they represent because there aren't like 6 million of them to represent all of the people that died. But they were there, and you could walk through them. So people were like running through them and playing hide and go seek. I didn't really want to do that. Even if I was with someone, I felt like that wasn't right. It is a memorial to honor those who were killed, and you're playing hide and go seek, and it didn't sit right with me. I did walk through it reflectively and things like that, but I couldn't just bring myself to run through it. But I was by myself anyway, so it wasn't like I was just going to run through it just for the sake of running through it. And I couldn't play hide and go seek with myself, so that was an option. But after I walked through there, I went into the visitor center, which is actually underground, and walked around and told stories about people who were in the Holocaust, people who died, people whose families were affected, and these were just truly heartbreaking stories. Granted, it is a museum, so they're going to find the most heartbreaking stories they can find, but still, I mean, these stories were just awful, and they had pictures of people being shot. They were grainy, so it's not like you could see like blood gushing out or anything like that, but I mean, you could see Like, there's one picture I remember vividly. Women, they stripped them naked and had them like lie in a ditch. They all had to lie in the ditch, stark naked, and the guards were standing over the ditch with their rifles, and they just obliterated them. Just things like that. And then we saw postcards and that were translated to, and the postcards were saying things like, "I know I'm not gonna make it out of here. Please give the family my regards. I love you. I won't see you again, but I hope to see you on." No, they didn't say that. But just goodbye letters, and then they had family portraits talking about the families. Then they had pictures of the ghettos that they herded the Jews in. It was heartbreaking, but it was very educational, and I'm so glad I went to it. I really am glad that I got to say I went to it, because that was one of the things that even way before now I said, if I can ever get to Germany, I really want to see the Holocaust Museum, and I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad I got to see it, because I didn't think I would make it, especially not this soon in my life. Because I was saying this like when I was like 12, 13. So I thought it would be decades upon decades before I got to Germany. So I didn't think it would happen like now, like, while I'm in college. So glad I got to make it. I'm going to quickly talk about Checkpoint Charlie before I break, because it's coming up on 15 minutes. So anyway, went to Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie is another border crossing. It's actually on a street called Fry, Friedrichstrasse. I think I said that right. Um, so it's a little hut. It was bigger than this when it was actually in service, but now what's left of is a little hut, and there's a tall signpost. At the top of the signpost, on one side there's a picture of an American soldier, and on the other side of it there's a picture of a Soviet soldier, Soviet communist, um, in that realm. And then on the sidewalk, there's a big, huge sign. It's got to be about 20, 30 feet that says, on one side, "You are leaving the American sector." And it's written in English, German, Russian, and French. And on the other side, it says, "You are entering the American sector" in English, German, Russian, and French. And took pictures there and went to the museum. The museum, again, heartbreaking, because there were just stories and upon stories of people trying to escape East Germany to go to West Germany, because East Germany, of course, was communist, and people were dying and people were poor. And then you had people whose families were in West Germany and they were in East Germany. Um, because at one point Berlin was just Berlin, and then all of a sudden it was just cut in two one day. So the stories of people, just the courage people had, inspiring, scary, but it was also heartbreaking to read about the people who died. But it was talking about people who modified their cars to get people into like the gas tank, or people who were in the trunk, or people who hid in buildings nearby, and they like rappelled over to the other side. I mean, just courageous stories. And as I was walking through the museum, I was just thinking to myself, how would I be if this were my reality? If my family were on the other side, or if I were extremely poor and could not make it, because these people got poorer and poorer and poorer, and people were just doing a mass exodus out there until they put up all these blocks. But what would I do if I were in that situation? That's what I just kept thinking to myself the whole time. And on my way out, I saw this video. I couldn't watch the whole thing because it was the entire video. In 1989, these two brothers that lived in West Germany were trying to were trying to help their brother in East Germany escape to the West. And they got like a little light plane. I don't know exactly what it's called. It was one of those things like you sit in it, and it looks kind of like an L, and the seat's like this, and it almost looks like there should be a pedal on it, but there's not a pedal on it, I don't think. And it just goes up and you can fly it. So they flew from West Germany to East Germany, plucked the brother off of a building, and then they all escaped back to the West in the dead of night. It was really, really amazing, just to see these things. And it was sad. It was sad, but it was inspiring and it was so educational. So I'm really, really glad that I got to do that. So I'm actually going to pause here because I've crossed 15 minutes. So I'm going to pause here and pick back up with part two. So I'll talk